I said, well, that's what we're here for. So I tapped Dugan on the shoulder and I said, drop down. So he banked the plane around, and about that time I saw a truck coming out of a warehouse filled with Japanese soldiers. So I said, Dugan, follow that truck. Maybe he'll take it to where we want to where we can find this artillery. So he looked at the truck and he kept banking around, and all of a sudden we were over an area on the south side of the Pasig River that was called Intramuros. This was the oldest part of Manila, and they called it the Wall City because it had a wall built around it years and years ago. And we didn't realize it, but we were over this area and we started receiving small arms fire from the Intramuros. And all of a sudden, the left side of the engine blew out. And we'd been hit by a 20 millimeter anti-aircraft fire, and it knocked the left side of the engine out. And we were on the wrong side of the river with no engine. Well, it was really panic-stricken time. I really had the most terrible feeling in my life when we lost the engine on that plane. And we had a lot of machine gun fire at our plane while we were still over Intramuros. And I could hear the bullets whispering through the fabric of this little plane. And I looked through the window to the right, and all I could see was houses and buildings and trees. No place to land, especially with a dead engine. I looked out the other side and saw the same thing. The front of the windshield was covered with oil, but looking around through it, I could see that Dugan had turned the plane around and caught a tailwind, and it was taking us north, away from the river and away from the Intramuros. And I had this feeling that, hell, I could get killed in this war. And that's the first time I had that feeling. I never dreamed that I might be killed in my service in the Army during this war. But that moment, I knew I was dead. I knew I was gone. I had written my life off. This is the end. There's no place to land. They're still shooting at us. There's no way I'm going to get out of this. And that was kind of eerie to realize that I had never even thought about getting killed until that moment. As a result, it kind of changed the way I felt the rest of the time I was overseas. I kind of felt a little funny when I got in areas where I was exposed to enemy fire. I realized then that I might not make it. And I had that feeling from then on. But anyhow, fortunately, God was with us. A tailwind carried us away from the firing. And I looked up and saw that Dugan was heading for a boulevard that was right in front of San Tomas University. And it was wide enough where it would easily accommodate our little plane. And that's where he was going. And I thought, boy, if this wind takes us over there, we're going to be the luckiest people on earth. But as we approached the area in front of the university, I noticed that we had a lot of power lines going across the street, one right after another. And I thought, there's no way we're going to make this. I mean, if the wind carries us far enough to where we can land there, we're going to hit one of those power lines. There's no question about it. There's no way we can get by it. Dugan never said anything to me. He was just determined that he was going to make it. And he did. We went over one set of wires, down, and back over another set, and landed about 10 feet from a truck parked in the middle of the street. Neither one of us were scratched. I got out of that plane and counted 27 bullet holes in the fabric in that plane, plus apparently 2 rounds of 20 20 millimeter anti-aircraft that knocked out the left side of the engine. Well, that was a miracle. God was with us.